The October rain fell like tears across Chicago's holy name Cathedral, each drop a small death against the stone steps where Sophia Chen stood frozen. Staring at the woman in the framed photograph beside the cathedral doors, her own face stared back at her. Not similar, not reminiscent. Identical. The funeral notice fluttered in the wind, rain-spotted and blurring. Isabella Maria Castellano, beloved wife and mother, taken too soon at age 29. The photograph showed a woman in an elegant black dress, diamond earrings catching light, her smile warm but guarded. A woman who looked exactly like Sophia, down to the small mole beside her left eye, the slight asymmetry of her lips when she smiled. Sophia's grocery bags slipped from nerveless fingers. Apples rolled across wet pavement, disappearing into gutters. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps that had nothing to do with the cold. She'd been walking home from her shift at Chicago Memorial, exhausted from 12 hours of caring for sick children, thinking only of her tiny apartment and leftover Chinese food. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Now she stood paralyzed, staring at her own death notice. Except it wasn't her. The name was wrong. Isabella Castellano. Not Sophia Chen. But the face, the bone structure, the exact shade of dark auburn hair, the hazel eyes flecked with gold. All of it was hers. A black limousine pulled up to the cathedral's entrance, water spraying from expensive tires. Men in dark suits emerged first, moving with the practiced efficiency of security details, their eyes scanning the street with predatory awareness. Then a man stepped out, and even from 30 feet away, even through the rain and gathering dusk, Sophia felt the weight of his presence. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Dark hair, shot through with premature silver at the temples, fell across a face carved from granite and grief. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, dark, almost black, and so full of devastated fury that she felt it like a physical blow. He carried a small girl in his arms, maybe 4 years old, her face buried in his shoulder. The child wore a black velvet dress, tiny patent leather shoes, and even from this distance, Sophia could see her small body shaking with sobs. The man murmured something into the girl's hair, his expression softening just slightly, just enough to show the father beneath the fury. Then his gaze swept the street, that casual surveillance of a man who'd learned to watch for threats, and his eyes locked on Sophia. He froze. Completely, utterly froze, as if someone had pressed pause on his existence. The child in his arms lifted her head, following her father's gaze, and Sophia heard the piercing wail even from across the street. "Mama! Mama!" The little girl struggled in her father's arms, reaching toward Sophia with desperate hands. "Mama came back! Papa! Mama came back!" The man's face went through a series of expressions: shock, recognition, denial, and finally something dark and dangerous that made Sophia take an instinctive step backward. He handed the crying child to one of his men and started walking toward her with deliberate, controlled steps that somehow felt more threatening than a run. Sophia's nurse training kicked in, the part of her that assessed situations and acted. This man thought she was his dead wife. This child thought she was her mother. And she was neither, but explaining that across a crowded street in the rain seemed impossible. She should run. Every instinct screamed it. But her feet stayed rooted to the wet pavement as he closed the distance between them, his eyes never leaving her face, cataloging every detail with an intensity that felt like being dissected. Isabella. Her name, no, not her name, but spoken with such raw emotion that Sophia felt tears prick her own eyes. How is this possible? "I'm not," Sophia started, but he was close enough now that she could see the fine lines around his eyes, could smell expensive cologne mixed with rain and something darker, more complex. Grief, maybe, or rage barely contained. "You're dead." His voice was rough, accent threading through it Italian, old world, the kind that spoke of generations of power. "I watched them lower your casket into the ground 3 days ago. I put my hand on the lid and felt the wood, cold and final. So tell me how you're standing here. My name is Sophia Chen." She forced the words out, though her throat felt tight. "I don't know who Isabella Castellano is, but I'm not her. I'm a pediatric nurse. I live in Bridgeport. I've never seen you before in my life." He reached out, and Sophia flinched, but his hand only hovered near her face, not quite touching. His fingers trembled. "Your voice. It's different. Lower. And your eyes. He leaned closer, studying her with frightening focus. The left one has more gold. Bella's was more green. The use of the nickname, so intimate, made Sophia's heart clench. Behind him, his men had formed a protective semicircle, blocking them from view of the gathering mourners. The little girl was still crying, fighting against the man holding her, her wails of "Mama" cutting through the rain. "I need you to come with me." Not a request. A statement delivered with the absolute certainty of a man accustomed to obedience. "I'm not going anywhere with you." Sophia found her spine, her voice. "I don't know what's happening here, but I'm not your wife. I'm sorry for your loss, but, Marco." The man didn't turn, didn't raise his voice, but one of his men immediately stepped forward. "Bring me her identification." "You can't just..." Sophia started to protest, but Marco was already reaching for her purse where it hung from her shoulder. She jerked back, but another man had somehow gotten behind her, his presence solid and immovable. "We can do this gently or not gently," the man said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "But we're doing this, because either you're my wife, somehow alive and lying to me, or you're something else, something impossible. And I need to know which." Sophia's mind raced. She could scream, but who would come? The mourners filing into the cathedral? His people controlled this entire block, she realized. The security wasn't just around him, it was everywhere. Cars parked at strategic intervals, men in suits stationed at corners, the casual surveillance of an operation. She pulled her wallet from her purse herself, hands shaking, and thrust it at him. "Look, Sophia Chen, born March 15th, 1994. Same year as your wife, I'm guessing. But I've never been to this cathedral before. I've never been Isabella." He studied her driver's license with the same intensity he'd studied her face, then pulled out his phone, photographing it with efficient movements. "Run this," he said to Marco. "Everything. Birth certificate, employment history known. Associates. I want it in 10 minutes. He handed back her wallet, and his fingers brushed hers. The contact was electric, startling them both. He pulled back as if burned, his jaw clenching. "Sophia Chen," he said slowly, testing the name. "And yet you have my wife's face, her body, her sick." He stopped, shaking his head. "Coincidence doesn't exist in my world. Only patterns waiting to be understood." "Your world?" Sophia heard the edge in her own voice. "What exactly is your world, Mr. Castellano?" Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, that she'd caught his name, the kind where wives don't come back from the dead. Where faces don't repeat themselves. Where the impossible doesn't happen. He glanced back at the cathedral, at his crying daughter. Until today. The rain was soaking through Sophia's scrubs now, cold water running down her spine. She shivered, and he noticed, his eyes tracking the movement. Without a word, he shrugged out of his suit jacket and held it toward her. When she didn't take it, he draped it over her shoulders anyway, his hands careful not to touch her skin again. The jacket was warm from his body, smelled like him, expensive and dangerous and somehow comforting. Sophia hated that she noticed, hated the way her body responded to the simple gesture of care. "I have a theory," he said quietly, his voice pitched just for her despite the men surrounding them. "And you're not going to like it. I already don't like any of this. Twins." The word hung between them, heavy with implication. "My wife never mentioned siblings. Her file," he stopped, seeming to reconsider his words. "Everything I knew about Isabella said she was an only child. Parents dead, no living relatives. It's why she was alone when we met." Sophia's world tilted. "I'm adopted," she heard herself say. "Chinese-American family, but they told me my birth mother was white. They never knew who she was. Closed adoption, sealed records." His eyes sharpened with predatory focus. "When's your birthday?" "March 15th, 1994. Isabella's was March 14th. He pulled out his phone again, scrolling through something. Or so her papers said. But papers can be falsified. Birthdays can be changed. This is insane. Sophia tried to step back, but the man behind her was still there, an immovable wall. "You're suggesting your wife and I were twins separated at birth? That doesn't happen in real life." "In my life, Miss Chen, it happens more often than you'd think." His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. "Your background check is clean, too clean. Sophia Chen, born to David and Linda Chen, adopted through Catholic Charities of Chicago." Nursing degree from DePaul. Working pediatrics at Chicago Memorial for 3 years. No criminal record, no debts, no red flags. He looked up at her. No history before the Chens adopted you at 2 days old. The implication settled over Sophia like ice water. You think someone arranged this. The separation. I think nothing happens by accident. He glanced at his watch, then at the cathedral where more mourners were gathering. I need to bury my wife, again. But then you and I are going to have a very long conversation about how 2 women with the same face ended up living separate lives in the same city. I have a shift tomorrow. Call in sick. Not a suggestion. His eyes met hers, and she saw the steel beneath the grief. This is bigger than your shift, Miss Chen. Someone separated you and Isabella. Someone kept that secret for 29 years. And 3 days ago, my wife died in a car accident that investigation says might not have been an accident at all. Sophia's blood ran cold. You think she was murdered. I think a lot of things. And I think you're in danger until I know why you exist, and why Isabella never told me about you. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to barely above whisper. My daughter is crying for her mother. She sees your face and doesn't understand why you won't hold her. Do you have any idea what that's doing to her? To me? The pain in his voice cracked something in Sophia's chest. She looked past him to where the little girl was still struggling in Marco's arms, her face red and tear-streaked, reaching toward Sophia with desperate hope. I can't pretend to be her mother, Sophia whispered. That would be cruel. I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm asking you to help me understand what happened. And maybe, his voice caught, maybe help my daughter understand why her mother looks alive but isn't. It was the break in his composure that decided her. This dangerous man with his security detail and his dark world was, in this moment, just a father trying to help his grieving child understand the impossible. One conversation, Sophia said. After the funeral. Then I'm going home, and you're leaving me alone. If you're not involved in whatever got Isabella killed, then yes. 1 conversation, and you walk away. His eyes said he didn't believe she'd be walking away, that they both knew she was already caught in something larger than either of them understood. But if you are involved, if this is some elaborate scheme, then what? You'll kill me too? Sophia surprised herself with her own boldness. His smile was cold and sharp as a knife. Miss Chen, I don't kill people. I'm a legitimate businessman. I own restaurants, real estate, construction companies. The lie was smooth, practiced, and they both knew it was a lie. But I do have a talent for finding truth. And protecting what's mine. I'm not yours. No. But my daughter thinks you're hers. And until we sort this out, that makes you my responsibility. He turned to his men. Take her to the house after the service. Comfortable, not contained. She's a guest, not a prisoner. I didn't agree to. You will. He was already walking back toward the cathedral, toward his crying daughter and his dead wife's funeral. He paused, looking back over his shoulder. Because you felt it too, Miss Chen, when I touched your hand. The impossibility of standing in front of your own face. You need answers as much as I do. He was right, and Sophia hated it. She did need answers. Had always felt a hollow space in her life, a sense of something missing despite her loving adoptive parents. Had always wondered about the woman who'd given her up, about whether there was more to her story. Now she stared at a photograph of a woman with her face, and all those vague wonderings crystallized into terrible certainty. She wasn't alone. She'd never been alone. Somewhere, someone who looked like her had lived and loved and died. And that someone had married a man who radiated danger like heat, who commanded men with single words, who looked at Sophia like she was both ghost and answer to prayers he'd never spoken. Marco appeared at her elbow, his expression professionally neutral. Ma'am, if you'll come, with me. We'll get you dry clothes and somewhere to wait during the service. I can go home and come back. Mr. Castellano would prefer you stay close. Marco's voice was polite, but his hand on her elbow was firm. For your protection. Protection from what? Marco's eyes scanned the street, the gathered mourners, the cars passing. From whoever might have noticed you look exactly like a dead woman. In our world, that kind of coincidence makes you either a threat or a target. Until we know which, you stay close. Our world. The phrase sent chills down Sophia's spine. What world had Isabella married into? What world was Sophia now being pulled into, just by virtue of sharing a face? As Marco guided her toward a waiting car, Sophia caught one last glimpse of the man Dominic Castellano. She now knew as he climbed the cathedral steps with his daughter. The little girl had quieted, but she kept looking back, her dark eyes wide and confused, searching for Sophia, for Mama. Sophia's heart broke for her, this child who'd lost her mother and now saw her ghost in a stranger's face. And beneath the sympathy, beneath the fear and confusion, something else stirred. Curiosity, need, the desperate human hunger to understand where you come from, who you might have been in another life. Isabella had lived the life Sophia might have lived, had married Dominic, had borne his child, had moved in a world of wealth and danger. And then she'd died, possibly murdered, leaving behind a husband and daughter and a twin sister she'd never mentioned. Why? That question would haunt Sophia through the next hours, as Marco drove her to an apartment in the Gold Coast, as staff, actual staff, like something from a movie, provided her with dry clothes and food she couldn't eat. As she sat in a room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, watching rain batter the glass and wondering how her normal life had shattered in the space of a chance encounter. The clothes, they'd given her fit perfectly, and Sophia realized with growing unease that they must have been Isabella's. A soft cashmere sweater in deep gray, dark jeans that hugged her hips exactly right, even the undergarments were her size. She stood in front of a full-length mirror, dressed in a dead woman's clothes, and saw her twin staring back. What had Isabella's life been like? Had she been happy, married to a man who commanded such fear and loyalty? Had she loved Dominic Castellano, or had she been trapped in a gilded cage? Sophia touched her reflection, fingers meeting cold glass. "Who were you?" she whispered. "And why didn't you find me?" The door opened, and Sophia spun, heart hammering. But it wasn't Dominic. It was an older woman, maybe 60, elegant in a black dress, her silver hair swept up in a classic chignon. She studied Sophia with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Madonna," the woman breathed, crossing herself. "It's like seeing her alive again." She moved closer, circling, Sophia like a jeweler examining a diamond for flaws. "But you're not her. Your posture is different." Bella always stood like she was ready to flee. "You stand like you're ready to fight." "Who are you?" "Lucia Moretti." "I was Bella's." She paused, choosing her word carefully. "Friend. Mentor. Guardian, in a way. I helped raise her after her parents died." Lucia's eyes were wet. "And I never knew she had a sister." Sophia's throat tightened. "You knew her well?" "As well as Bella let anyone know her." Lucia sat on the couch, gesturing for Sophia to join her. She was closed off, private. Even with Dominic, even after they married. There were parts of herself she never shared. Did she seem afraid of something? Lucia's expression sharpened. "Why would you ask that?" "Because someone separated us. Someone kept that secret for almost 30 years. And now she's dead, possibly murdered." Sophia sat across from Lucia. "I need to know what she knew. What she might have been running from." "You're clever. Bella was clever too." Lucia leaned forward. 2 weeks before she died, Bella came to me, asked me about adoption records, about how to unseal them. She wouldn't tell me why, but she was. Frantic, scared in a way I'd never seen. Sophia's pulse quickened. "She was looking for me." "I think so." "She died before she could tell me more." Lucia pulled an envelope from her purse. "I found this in her things. Dominic doesn't know I have it. It's addressed to someone named Sophia." The world tilted. Sophia took the envelope with shaking hands. Her name, in handwriting that could have been her own, flowed across the front. The seal was unbroken. "She knew about you," Lucia confirmed. "Somehow, she'd found out. And she was trying to reach you before." She stopped, emotion choking her voice. "Before it was too late." Sophia stared at the envelope, afraid to open it. Inside might be answers, but also questions that could never be resolved. Isabella had known about her, the twin, had been searching for her, and then she'd died. The timing couldn't be coincidence. Does Dominic know she was looking into adoptions? No. Bella kept secrets even from him, especially from him. Lucia's voice dropped. "You need to understand something about Dominic Castellano. He's not a man who tolerates lies. The fact that his wife hid something this big from him," she shook her head, "it's going to tear him apart, or make him dangerous in ways even I can't predict. Should I tell him about the letter?" "I don't know," Lucia admitted, "but I know that Bella wanted you to have it." So read it first. Understand what she was trying to tell you. Then decide what to share. Sophia clutched the envelope, feeling the weight of words written by a dead woman who'd shared her face and, apparently, her secrets. Outside, the rain intensified, thunder rumbling across the lake, like a warning. Somewhere in this city, a little girl was crying for a mother who would never return. Somewhere, a dangerous man was burying his wife while plotting to understand how she'd come back from the dead. And here, in this elegant apartment that overlooked a city Sophia thought she knew, she held answers that might explain everything or destroy what little peace remained. The sound of the front door opening made both women freeze. Footsteps in the hallway, measured and familiar. Lucia stood quickly, tucking her purse with its secrets back over her shoulder. "He's back sooner than I expected. The service must have been brief." She squeezed Sophia's shoulder. "Be careful with him. Dominic in grief is like a wounded animal, unpredictable and potentially lethal. But underneath, he's still a man trying to understand why the woman he loved lied to him." Lucia slipped out through a side door just as Dominic entered the living room. He'd changed from his funeral suit into dark jeans and a black sweater, but he still radiated that same controlled power. His eyes found Sophia, immediately, tracking the envelope in her hands before lifting to her face. "You're wearing her clothes," he said quietly. "How does that feel?" "Strange. Invasive. Like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's life. That's what this is, isn't it? Someone else's life that should have been yours too." He moved to the window, staring out at the storm. "I've been thinking about how this happens. How two babies get separated. It's not random. Not in 1994. Someone made a choice. My parents, my adoptive parents, they're good people. They didn't know anything about a twin. I believe you." He turned. The light from the window backlit him, making his expression difficult to read. "But someone knew. Someone arranged it, and I think Isabella found out. I think that's why she died." The accusation hung in the air, heavy and terrible. Sophia stood, the envelope crinkling in her grip. "Are you saying someone killed her to keep the secret?" "I'm saying my wife was healthy, careful, and drove a car with every safety feature money could buy. And she died when her brakes failed on a curve she'd driven 1,000 times." His voice was conversational, almost casual. But Sophia heard the fury beneath. "I'm saying the mechanic who serviced her car disappeared the next day. I'm saying I've spent 3 days investigating, and every lead goes nowhere. Until I showed up. Until you showed up." He moved closer, each step deliberate. "You, Sophia Chen, are the first real lead I've had. You're proof that Isabella had secrets. And in my experience, secrets get people killed." Sophia's hands tightened on the envelope. She should tell him. About Lucia, about the letter, about Isabella's search for adoption records. But Lucia's warning echoed in her mind. "Dominic in grief is like a wounded animal." "What do you want from me?" she asked instead. "The truth. All of it." He was close enough now that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "Who you are. What you've... No. Why you appeared now, after Isabella spent weeks researching adoptions." Sophia's breath caught. "You knew she was looking? I know everything that happens in my house." His smile was bitter. "Or I thought I did. Turns out my wife was quite talented at hiding things. Bank accounts I didn't know about. Phone calls to lawyers. Visits to adoption agencies." He paused. "She was looking for you, Sophia. And the day before she died, she told me she'd found something important. Something that changed everything." "What did she find?" "She died before she could tell me." The pain in his voice was raw, unguarded. "The last thing she said to me was, 'I need to protect her.' I thought she meant our daughter. Now I think she meant you." The envelope in Sophia's hand suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Isabella had been trying to protect her. From what? From whom? "I have something," Sophia heard herself say. "A letter. Isabella wrote it to me. I haven't read it yet." Dominic's entire body went still, his eyes locking onto the envelope. "Where did you get that? Does it matter?" "Yes. Single word. Absolute authority. Everything matters now. Every secret, every lie, every hidden truth. They all matter because they got my wife killed." Sophia made a decision. She held out the envelope. "Read it with me. Whatever she wrote, whatever she knew, we learn it together." He stared at the offering, and for a moment, Sophia saw past the dangerous crime boss to the grieving husband. The man who'd loved a woman with secrets, who'd lost her before understanding why. Together, he agreed, his voice rough. They sat on the couch, an arm's length apart, the envelope between them like a bridge. Sophia's hands shook as she broke the seal, unfolded the pages covered in handwriting that could have been her own. "Dear Sophia," the letter began, and Sophia's eyes blurred with tears she hadn't known were forming. "If you're reading this, then I'm dead, and the secret I've tried to keep has failed." Dominic's hand covered hers on the letter, steady and warm. "Read it aloud," he said quietly. "I need to hear her voice, even if it's through yours." Sophia's throat tightened, but she nodded, focusing on the elegant script that flowed across the page. "Dear Sophia, if you're reading this, then I'm dead, and the secret I've tried to keep has failed. I don't have much time to write this. Dominic will be home soon, and I can't let him see. Not yet, not until I've found you and warned you properly. I only learned about you 3 months ago. 3 months. My entire life. I thought I was alone, that my parents died and left me with nothing. But they lied. Or rather, they kept a secret so big it reshaped my entire existence. We're twins, Sophia. Identical twins born March 15th, 1994, to a woman named Catherine Moretti. Yes, Moretti. As in the family that's been at war with the Castellanos for 2 generations. As in the family that would kill both of us if they knew we existed. Sophia's voice faltered. Dominic's hand tightened on hers. His jaw clenched so hard she could see the muscle jump. "Keep reading," he said, voice like gravel. "Our mother was Catherine Moretti, daughter of Vincent Moretti, the Don who ruled Chicago's South Side until he died 5 years ago. She got pregnant by a man named Michael Preston, nobody important, just a grad student she met at Northwestern. When her father found out she was pregnant, he was furious. The Morettas don't mix with outsiders, don't dilute the bloodline. He gave her a choice, abort the pregnancy or disappear. Catherine chose to disappear. She ran to a convent in Wisconsin, hid there through the pregnancy. But when she went into labor, something went wrong. She started hemorrhaging. The nuns rushed her to a hospital, and that's where we were born. Twins, a complication no one expected. Catherine died on the operating table. She bled out before they could save her, leaving 2 newborn girls, with no father who wanted them, and a grandfather who would kill them if he found out they existed. Sophia's hands shook so badly that Dominic took the letter from her, continuing to read in his deep voice. The hospital contacted Catholic Charities. The nuns who'd hidden Catherine worked with the charities to place us quickly, quietly, before Vincent Moretti could discover his daughter had given birth. They separated us deliberately. 2 babies were easier to hide than 1, harder to trace if they went to different families. You went to the Chens. I went to a couple named Robert and Marie Castellano, distant cousins of Dominic's father, people with no children of their own who wanted a daughter. They raised me, loved me, never told me I was adopted. I didn't find out until they died in a car accident when I was 19. Even then, the adoption agency refused to unseal my records. Dominic's voice cracked. He stopped reading, staring at the letter with an expression Sophia couldn't decipher. Horror, betrayal, understanding. "She never told me," he whispered. 5 years of marriage, a child together, and she never told me she was adopted. Never told me her real name. "Maybe she was protecting you," Sophia offered, though her own emotions were in chaos. Catherine Moretti. Vincent Moretti. She carried the blood of Dominic's enemies, the family he'd fought his entire adult life. Or maybe she was protecting herself. Dominic stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Rain lashed against the glass, matching the storm in his eyes. "Do you understand what this means? My wife was a Moretti. My daughter is half Moretti. Everything I built, everyone I've protected it, was all compromised from the beginning. She didn't choose her bloodline any more than I did. No, but she chose to lie about it." He spun to face her, fury and grief warring in his expression. "The Morettas have tried to destroy my family for 30 years. They've killed my uncle, my cousin, bombed our businesses, corrupted our politicians, and I married into their bloodline without knowing it." Sophia stood, the letter still clutched in her hand. "There's more. Let me finish." He waved a hand, jaw tight, giving permission but not peace. "I didn't learn any of this until 3 months ago. A woman approached me at Isabella's preschool. Her name was Sister Margaret, one of the nuns who'd helped place us for adoption. She was dying, cancer, and she wanted to clear her conscience before she met God. She told me everything. About Catherine, about Vincent, about the desperate decision to separate us. She gave me your name, Sophia Chen, and the agency that had placed you. She also gave me a warning. Vincent Moretti died never knowing about you girls, Sister Margaret said. But his son, Marcus, has been asking questions, digging through old hospital records, pressuring the charities to release sealed files. Someone told him Catherine might have had a child. He's looking for you, for both of you. And when he finds you, he'll kill you. Because Moretti blood that was raised outside the family is considered contaminated. Traitorous. Sophia's blood ran cold. There's someone hunting us? Marcus Moretti. Dominic's voice was flat, deadly. Vincent's son. Current Don of the Moretti family. He took over when his father died, and he's been more aggressive, more violent than Vincent ever was. If he knows about you, he stopped, something clicking in his expression. That's why she died. Isabella found out the Morettis were searching for her, and she panicked. Or she found me and led them straight to both of us. Sophia looked down at the letter, the final paragraphs blurring through her tears. Sophia, I've been looking for you for 3 months. I've hired private investigators, bribed officials, followed every lead. I found you 2 weeks ago. You work at Chicago Memorial, pediatric ward. You live alone in Bridgeport. You have the Chens, and from what I can see, you have a good life. Safe, normal. Part of me wanted to approach you immediately, to finally meet my sister, to not feel so alone in this world. But the other part, the part that married Dominic Castellano, that brought a child into this dangerous world, that part knows I can't. Because the moment I make contact, I put a target on your back. Marcus Moretti is close to finding us. I can feel it. My car has been followed. Strange men have asked questions at Isabella's school. Last week, someone broke into our house while we were gone. Nothing was stolen, but Dominic's security found evidence of professional surveillance equipment. I think Marcus knows about me. I think he's watching, waiting to see if I'll lead him to you. So I'm writing this letter instead of calling you, instead of showing up at your hospital and hugging you the way I've dreamed of doing. If something happens to me, if Marcus or his men succeed in whatever they're planning, I need you to know, you have a sister who loves you. You have a niece named Isabella who has your smile. And you have Dominic. The way Isabella had written his name made Sophia's breath catch. There was something there, some depth of feeling that transcended the page. Dominic is complicated. He's dangerous and ruthless, and half the city is afraid of him. But he's also the man who held my hand through 36 hours of labor, who cries when he thinks no one can hear him reading bedtime stories to our daughter, who built an empire not for power, but to protect the people he loves. If I'm gone, he's going to be broken, furious, possibly self-destructive. He's going to blame himself, investigate obsessively, and push away everyone who tries to help. Don't let him. He needs you, even if he doesn't know it yet. Isabella needs you. They both need what you represent, the part of me that was good and innocent before this world swallowed me whole. There's money in an account under the name Sarah Mitchell. The details are in the envelope with this letter. It's enough to disappear, to start over somewhere the Morettis will never find you. Take it and run, Sophia. Build the life I couldn't. Be safe in a way I never was. But if you choose to stay, if you choose to help my family, our family, know that you're walking into war, Marcus will come for you. The Castellanos will distrust you because of your blood, and Dominic, God, Dominic will look at you and see everything he lost, everything he failed to protect. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to meet you properly. I'm sorry you're learning about me through a letter instead of over coffee, swapping stories about our separate lives. I'm sorry for all the years we lost. Be brave, little sister. Be smarter than I was. And please, if you can, protect my daughter. She's innocent in all of this. She deserves better than the legacy we're leaving her. With love from the sister you never knew, Isabella Maria Castellano, née Catherine and Sophia's twin P.S. Tell. Dominic, I loved him. He's going to doubt it, given everything he'll learn. But it was real. All of it was real. The letter ended there, but tucked in the envelope was another slip of paper with bank account details and a password. Sophia stared at it, her entire world rewritten in elegant script. She had a sister. Had a sister. Past tense. A woman who'd loved her from a distance, who'd protected her by staying away, who'd died trying to keep a secret that could destroy everyone she loved. And now Sophia sat in that woman's home, wearing her clothes, facing her husband, holding proof that they were both targets in a war they'd never chosen. "Marcus Moretti knows about you," Dominic said, his voice cutting through her spiral of thoughts. "That's why Isabella died. She got too close to finding you, and he had her killed to send a message. Or to prevent her from warning you. You can't know that for sure. I can." He pulled out his phone, tapping through screens before holding it out to her. This was taken yesterday, 3 days after Isabella's funeral. The photograph showed Sophia leaving Chicago Memorial, her scrubs visible beneath her jacket, her face caught in profile as she walked to her car. It was a surveillance photo, professional quality, taken with a telephoto lens. "Where did you get this?" Sophia's voice came out strangled. "My men found it on a camera installed across from the hospital. Professional equipment. Expensive. The kind the Morettis use." He swiped to another photo. Sophia entering her apartment building. Another of her at the grocery store. A fourth of her at the cemetery where the Chens were buried. "They've been watching me." The realization hit like a physical blow. For how long? At least a week, based on the timestamps. Maybe longer. Dominic pocketed his phone, his expression grim. "Isabella died 6 days ago. Which means they found you first, then killed her. Or killed her and immediately started surveillance on you to see what you knew." Sophia's knees gave out. She sat heavily on the couch, the letter falling from nerveless fingers. "I led them to her. By existing, just by living my normal life, I led murderers to my sister." "No." Dominic was kneeling in front of her suddenly, his hands framing her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Isabella led them nowhere. She died protecting you. She stayed away, kept her distance, did everything right. But Marcus Moretti has resources, patience, and no conscience. He would have found you both eventually. The question isn't blame, it's what we do now." "We?" Sophia heard the hysteria creeping into her voice. "There is no we. I'm a nurse. I spend my days treating ear infections and administering vaccines. I don't know anything about mob wars or surveillance or," her breath hitched, "or people who kill innocent women to keep secrets. You know now." His thumbs brushed away tears she hadn't realized were falling. The gesture was so gentle, so at odds with everything, and she knew about him, that it broke something in her chest. "And knowing means you can't go back. Marcus won't let you disappear. He'll come for you, use you as leverage against me, or just kill you to eliminate a threat. Your normal life ended the moment you saw Isabella's photograph. Then, I'll run. Use the money Isabella left? Disappear like she suggested? You could try." His voice was soft, almost sad. "You'd last maybe 3 months before they found you. Marcus has connections everywhere, police, federal agents, private investigators. He'd hunt you as sport, and when he caught you, he'd make an example of you. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." Sophia pulled back from his touch, wrapping her arms around herself. "So what? I'm just supposed to stay here? Accept that I'm a prisoner in your world? You're supposed to let me protect you." He stood, running a hand through his hair in the first sign of frustration she'd seen. "Isabella asked you to protect our daughter. How can you do that if you're dead? How can if you honor her memory if you're running scared?" The words hit their mark. Little Isabella, who'd cried for her mama, who'd reached for Sophia with such desperate hope. The daughter Sophia hadn't known existed until today, who was her niece, her blood, her family. "What do you want from me?" Sophia asked tiredly. "Move in here, temporarily. Let my security keep you safe while I deal with Marcus." He held up a hand, forestalling her protest. "I know it's not what you want, but it's what Isabella wanted. And it's what will keep you alive long enough to decide what kind of life you want to build. And if I refuse, then I'll have my men follow you anyway, and you'll be in danger without the benefit of protection." His smile was sharp. "I'm not giving you much choice, am I? But then, neither did Marcus when he started hunting my family." "Our family," Sophia's mind corrected. The Morettis were her family too, by blood if not by choice. The realization sat uncomfortably in her chest. "How? Long?" she asked. "How long would I have to stay?" "Until Marcus is dealt with." At her sharp look, he clarified. "Not killed, neutralized. Convinced that you're not worth the trouble, or that you're under my protection permanently, however long that takes. Days? Weeks? Possibly months." He watched her process that, saw the fear and resignation war in her expression. I'm not asking you to become part of my world forever, Sophia. I'm asking you to stay alive long enough to choose your own path. Isabella gave her life, trying to protect you. The least we can do is make sure her sacrifice wasn't in vain. The weight of it settled over Sophia like a shroud. Isabella's letter, the surveillance photos, the little girl who needed her aunt even if she didn't understand the connection yet, the dangerous man offering protection she couldn't refuse. I need to call my parents, she said finally. The Chens. They'll be worried if I don't come home. Tell them you're helping a friend. Medical. Emergency. Extended stay required. Don't mention me. Don't mention Isabella. His voice softened. I'll have someone pack your things from your apartment. Clothes, personal items, whatever you need to feel at home here. This will never feel like home. No. But maybe it can feel safe. He moved toward the door, then paused. There's something else you should know. Isabella's funeral today that was for show. Her body wasn't in the casket. Sophia's head snapped up. What? I had the medical examiner keep her in the morgue. Under guard, under a false name. His expression was haunted. Because I needed to be sure it was really her, that she was really dead. That I wasn't going crazy, seeing my wife everywhere. He looked at Sophia, and she saw the raw pain beneath his control. And now I know I wasn't crazy. I was seeing her everywhere because she had a twin. Because half of her still walks and breathes and looks at me like I'm a stranger. The ache in his voice made Sophia's throat tight. I'm sorry. I know this must be. Don't apologize for existing. He opened the door, fresh air from the hallway rushing in. Isabella loved you without ever meeting you. That tells me everything I need to know about the kind of person you are. The kind of person worth protecting. He left, the door closing softly behind him, leaving Sophia alone with Isabella's letter, a dead woman's bank account, and the terrifying knowledge that her sister's enemies were now her own. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, calling her mother's number. Linda Chen answered on the second ring, her voice warm with concern. Sophia, we were just talking about you. How was your shift? Mom, I need to tell you something. Sophia forced steadiness into her voice. I'm going to be staying with a friend for a while. A colleague from the hospital. She's going through something difficult, and I'm helping her with her daughter. Oh, honey, that's so like you. Always taking care of everyone. Linda's pride was audible. How long will you be gone? I'm not sure yet. Maybe a few weeks? The lie tasted bitter. I'll call you every day, I promise. You better. You know your father worries. A pause. Is everything okay, sweetheart? You sound stressed. Sophia closed her eyes, tears threatening. I'm fine, Mom. Just tired. Long day. They talked for a few more minutes, Linda filling her in on neighborhood gossip and her father's latest golf scores. Normal, mundane details of a life that suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else. When Sophia finally hung up, she felt the distance between who she'd been this morning and who she was becoming. A knock on the door made her jump. Come in. Lucia Moretti entered, carrying a tray with tea and something that smelled like fresh bread. I thought you might need this. Reading letters from the dead is hungry work. Sophia accepted the tea gratefully, the warmth seeping into her cold hands. You knew what was in the stain. Letter. I suspected. Bella came to me 2 weeks before she died, asked about the Moretti family history, specifically about Vincent's daughter, Catherine. Lucia sat across from her, her expression sad. I told her what I knew, that Catherine had run away pregnant, that Vincent had disowned her, that she'd died in childbirth. I thought Bella was just curious about Dominic's enemies. But she was researching her own history. Yes. And mine. Lucia's smile was bitter. Catherine was my niece. Vincent was my brother, which makes you and Isabella my great-nieces, though I didn't know it until today. Sophia's teacup rattled against its saucer. You're a Moretti. I was. I left the family 20 years ago when Vincent's violence became too much. Married a Castellano lieutenant, became part of this world instead. Lucia's eyes were fierce. Blood doesn't determine loyalty, child. Choices do. Catherine chose to leave rather than abort her children. Bella chose Dominic over safety. Now, you have to choose run or fight, Isabella said to run. Isabella wrote that letter when she still hoped to keep you out of this mess. But you're in it now. Marcus knows about you. The question isn't whether he'll come, but when. And whether you'll face him as prey or as family. Family. The word felt strange in Sophia's mouth. I don't even know these people. I spent the last 29 years not knowing they existed. And yet you walked into a stranger's home, put on a dead woman's clothes, and read a letter that could have destroyed you. That took courage. Family courage. Lucia leaned forward. The Chens gave you love and safety, but the Morettis gave you fire. And right now, fire is what you need to survive. Before Sophia could respond, the sound of running feet echoed in the hallway. The door burst open, and a small whirlwind in princess pajamas flew into the room. Mama! Little Isabella launched herself at Sophia, tiny arms wrapping around her neck with desperate strength. You came back. Papa said you went away, but you came back. Sophia's arms came up automatically, catching the child, feeling her warmth and weight and the dampness of fresh tears on her neck. The little girl smelled like baby shampoo and grief. Sweetie, I'm not, Sophia started, but Dominic appeared in the doorway, his expression stricken. Isabella, we talked about this. Remember? This is Aunt Sophia. She looks like Mama, but she's Mama's sister. But she feels like Mama. The child pulled back, studying Sophia's face with serious dark eyes so much like her father's. She has Mama's hugs. Sophia's heart cracked. She looked at Dominic helplessly, not knowing what to say, how to comfort a child who'd lost her mother and found her ghost. Bella, why don't you show Aunt Sophia your room? Lucia suggested gently. I bet she'd love to see your drawings. The little girl brightened slightly, taking Sophia's hand with complete trust. I drawed Mama yesterday, before she went to heaven. Do you want to see? Sophia let herself be pulled from the couch, aware of Dominic watching them with an expression she couldn't decipher. Pain, hope. Something darker, more complicated. Isabella's room was exactly what Sophia would have expected, princess-themed, but tasteful, with bookshelves overflowing and a window seat overlooking the lake. The little girl pulled out a stack of drawings, each one showing a stick figure woman with long hair and a smaller figure beside her. This is Mama and me at the park. This is Mama and me reading. This is Mama and me with Papa. She held up each drawing with pride, narrating their shared history. Sophia knelt beside her, throat tight with unshed tears. These are beautiful, sweetheart. Your Mama loved you so much. She told me she had a special surprise for me, something that would make me very happy. Isabella's small hand found Sophia's. Are you the surprise? Did Mama send you? How did you explain death in twins and complicated family secrets to a 4-year-old? How did you tell a child that her mother hadn't sent anyone, that she was really, truly gone? Your Mama loved you more than anything, Sophia said carefully. And she wanted to make sure you'd always have family who loved you too. That's why I'm here, to be your family. Like an aunt? Exactly like an aunt. Aunts are almost as good as Mamas. Isabella leaned against Sophia's side, her small body relaxing slightly. Can you stay? Papa gets sad at bedtime. He needs someone to help. Sophia looked up to find Dominic standing in the doorway, his expression raw and unguarded. He'd heard his daughter's assessment, heard her innocent plea, and it had stripped away his armor completely. I can stay for a little while, Sophia promised, even as she felt herself being pulled deeper into this family's orbit. Is that okay? Isabella nodded against her shoulder, then yawned hugely. I'm sleepy. Funerals make you tired. They do, Sophia agreed, softly. How about we get you into bed? The bedtime routine was simultaneously foreign and familiar. Sophia helped Isabella brush her teeth, picked out a storybook at the little girl's direction, and settled beside her on the princess bed, while Dominic hovered in the doorway like he couldn't quite believe what he was seeing. Sophia read about a brave princess and a dragon, her voice soft and steady even as her emotions churned. Isabella's breathing evened out halfway through, her small hand still clutching Sophia's. She hasn't fallen asleep that quickly since the accident, Dominic said quietly. Usually she cries for an hour, calling for her mother. Sophia carefully extracted herself from the bed, tucking the blanket around Isabella's sleeping form. I'm not her mother. No, but you're the closest thing she has now. He moved into the room, adjusting the nightlight, running a gentle hand over his daughter's hair. The gesture was so tender it made Sophia's chest ache. Thank you. For being kind to her. You didn't have to. She's my niece. Of course I did. They stood on opposite sides of the bed, looking down at the sleeping child. both thinking about the woman who should have been there between them. "Tell me about her," Sophia said impulsively. "About Isabella, my sister. I want to know who she was beyond the letter." Dominic's expression shifted, memory and loss painting his features. "Come, we'll talk in my office." She falls asleep better without people in the room. Sophia followed him down the hallway to a room lined with books and leather. A desk dominated one wall, computers and phones arranged with military precision. But it was the wall of photographs that drew her attention. Isabella, her sister, smiled from dozens of frames. Wedding photos showing a younger Dominic looking at his bride like she hung the moon. Vacation pictures from beaches and mountains. Candid shots of her laughing, reading, holding baby Isabella with fierce love in her eyes. "She was beautiful," Sophia whispered, moving closer. In every photo, her sister looked happy. Genuinely happy, not the forced smile of someone trapped. "She was." Dominic poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handing her one. "When I met her, she was working at a gallery. Art history degree from Northwestern, dreams of curating her own show someday. She had no idea who I was, what I did. She just saw a man who liked art." "When did she find out?" "Third date. Someone tried to kill me outside the restaurant." His smile was dark. "She threw a brick at the shooter's head, then demanded I explain what the hell was happening. I told her the truth, all of it. Expected her to run. But she didn't. No. She asked if I'd ever killed anyone who didn't deserve it. I told her no. She asked if I protected the people who worked for me. I said always. She asked if I'd protect her the same way. He took a long drink. I said I'd protect her with my life. We were engaged 3 months later." Sophia studied the wedding photos, seeing the way younger Dominic looked at Isabella, like she was his salvation and his doom all at once. Did she know? About your world, what it really meant? She knew enough. The violence, the danger, the compromises. But she chose it anyway. Chose me. His voice roughened. Or I thought she did. Now I wonder if she stayed because she had nowhere else to go. If the Morettis were looking for her, maybe I was just convenient protection. You don't believe that. I don't know what I believe anymore." He turned to her, and in the low light, she saw how exhausted he was. "My wife lied about who she was for 5 years. She hid a sister, a family history, a target on her back. Either she didn't trust me enough to tell me, or she didn't love me enough to risk it. Both options destroy me." Sophia moved closer, drawn by the rawness in his confession. "Or she loved you so much she didn't want to make you choose between her and your war with the Morettis. If you'd known she was Catherine's daughter, would you have married her?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. "I don't know," he admitted. "Probably not at first. The Morettis killed my uncle, destroyed businesses, hurt innocent people. Marrying into that bloodline would have been seen as betrayal by everyone in my organization. So she protected you by staying silent. Protected your daughter. Protected herself." Sophia set down her untouched whiskey. "That's love, Dominic. Maybe not the kind you wanted, but the kind that survives in impossible situations." He stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. "You defend her, even though her secrets put you in danger. She's my sister, the only sister I'll ever have." Sophia's voice broke slightly. "I lost her before I found her. The least I can do is understand why she made the choices she did." Something shifted in Dominic's expression. He moved closer, close enough that Sophia could feel his warmth, could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "You look like her, but you're not her," he said softly. Isabella was careful, controlled. "Your fire and impulse." She calculated every word. "You speak from emotion." His hand lifted, stopping just short of touching her face. "It's disorienting. Looking at you and seeing her, but also seeing someone completely different. Does it help or hurt?" Sophia found she was holding her breath. "Me being here? Both. Always both." His hand dropped. "Having you here feels like a second chance I don't deserve. But it also feels like torture, being reminded every second of what I lost." A phone buzzed loudly, shattering the moment. Dominic pulled it from his pocket, his expression hardening as he read the screen. "What is it?" "Marcus Moretti just requested a meeting." He showed her the message, brief and formal. "He wants to discuss matters of mutual concern regarding recently discovered family connections." Sophia's blood ran cold. "He knows I'm here. He knows you exist. My security is too tight for him to know your exact location. But Dominic's jaw was clenched, his body radiating tension. This is either negotiation or trap. With Marcus, it's hard to tell the difference. What are you going to do? Meet him. In public, with my people positioned for protection. He looked at her, something fierce in his eyes. But first, I'm going to make it very clear that you're under my protection. That anyone who touches you is declaring war on the Castellano family. Will that stop him? It should. Marcus is ambitious, but he's not stupid. Open war between families costs money, lives, territory. If he believes you're valuable to me, he'll back off. Or he'll come at us differently, and if he doesn't believe it, Dominic's smile was dangerous, predatory. Then I'll make him believe it. Whatever it takes. The promise hung in the air between them, protection and possession tangled together. Sophia should have been frightened, should have, protested, asserted her independence, refused to be used as a pawn in Mafia games. But as she looked at Dominic Castellano, saw the determination in his eyes, felt the safety his presence offered despite the danger he represented, she realized something terrifying. She was already in too deep to pull back, already connected to this family by blood and circumstance, already invested in keeping little Isabella safe, in understanding her sister's sacrifice, in surviving whatever came next. "When's the meeting?" she asked. "Tomorrow night. Neutral ground, witnesses present." He studied her. "You won't be there. You'll stay here with my security. What if he wants proof I exist? Proof I'm under your protection? Then I'll provide it in ways that don't put you in the same room as him." His tone brooked no argument. "Marcus Moretti is dangerous, Sophia. He killed his own cousin for disrespecting him. He tortured a federal informant for 3 days before killing him. I won't give him access to you. But you'll risk yourself meeting him. That's my job, my world, my war." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be complicated." "Dominic?" He turned back. "Thank you. For protecting me, even though I'm—" She gestured vaguely. "Even though I'm Isabella's secret. Her lie. You're not a lie. You're the truth she died trying to protect." His eyes held hers. "And I always protect what matters." He left, closing the door softly, leaving Sophia alone in his office surrounded by pictures of her dead sister and the life she'd lived. Sophia moved to the windows, looking out over the Chicago skyline glittering with lights. Somewhere out there, Marcus Moretti was planning his next move. Somewhere, people were watching, waiting, positioning for war. And here, in this penthouse that smelled like expensive leather and secrets, Sophia Chen had become someone new, not just a nurse, not just an adopted daughter, but a sister, an aunt, a woman with Moretti blood and Castellano protection, a woman caught between families at war, with only a dead sister's letter to guide her through the darkness ahead. She pulled out her phone, opening her photos. The Chens smiled back at her mother's gentle face, her father's proud expression, the life she'd built with their love. Normal, safe, everything Isabella had wanted for her. But as Sophia looked at her reflection in the window, seeing Isabella's face looking back, she knew there was no going back to normal. The secret was out. The war had found her. Now she had to decide who she'd be in it, victim or survivor, pawn or player. The choice, she realized, had already been made. The moment she'd read Isabella's letter, the moment she'd held little Isabella and felt the weight of family, the moment she'd looked at Dominic Castellano and seen not just danger, but desperation for answers she might be able to provide. She was staying, not just for protection, but for connection, for the family she'd never known she had, for the niece who needed her, for the sister who'd loved her from a distance. And maybe, though she barely dared think it, for the man who looked at her like she was both ghost and miracle. Tomorrow would bring Marcus Moretti and whatever threats he carried. But tonight, Sophia let herself exist in this strange new reality. Let herself be part of something larger, more complicated, more dangerous than anything she'd ever imagined. Let herself, for just a moment, believe she could survive what was coming, because Isabella had believed it. Had died believing her twin sister was strong enough, brave enough, clever enough to navigate the world that had killed her. Sophia touched the window where her reflection met Chicago's lights, making a silent promise to the sister she'd never meet. "I'll protect them. Your daughter, your husband, the family you chose. I'll be the sister you needed me to be, even if it kills me too." The city sparkled back at her, beautiful and merciless, full of promise and threat. And somewhere in the penthouse, a little girl slept peacefully for the first time in days, dreaming of a mother who'd returned in a different form. While her father sat alone in his room, staring at wedding photos and trying to reconcile the woman he'd loved with the lies she'd told. The storm was coming. Marcus Moretti, secrets and blood, war and revelation. But for now, in the quiet hours before dawn, 3 people connected by love and loss in impossible circumstances found brief, fragile peace. It wouldn't last. It never did. The restaurant was called Bella Vista, ironically enough. Neutral territory, owned by neither Castellano nor Moretti, situated in Chicago's financial district where violence would draw too much attention. Dominic had chosen it carefully public enough to discourage assassination, private enough for honest conversation. He sat alone at a corner table, though alone was relative. His men were positioned throughout the restaurant, a couple at the bar, 3 more at surrounding tables, 2 outside watching the exits. Marco stood near the kitchen, hand resting casually on his hip where Dominic knew a gun was holstered. Marcus Moretti arrived exactly on time, flanked by his own security detail. He was younger than Dominic expected, maybe 35, with sharp features and cold blue eyes that missed nothing. He wore an expensive suit with the ease of someone born to power, and when he smiled, it didn't reach his eyes. Castellano. Marcus slid into the seat across from him, dismissing his men with a subtle gesture. Thank you for meeting me. You made it difficult to refuse. Dominic's voice was conversational, but his body was coiled tight. Mentioning family connections tends to get my attention. I imagine it does, especially when those connections involve things you didn't know about. Marcus signaled the waiter, ordering wine with casual authority. How long have you known? About Catherine's daughters? No preamble, no dancing around the subject. Dominic appreciated the directness even as he calculated how much to reveal. Long enough to understand why someone might want them dead. Dead? Marcus's eyebrows rose. Is that what you think I want? You had my wife killed. I had your wife investigated. Marcus leaned back as the waiter poured wine. There's a difference. Yes, I learned Isabella Castellano was actually Catherine Moretti's daughter. Yes, I had her followed, but I didn't kill her. Her death was, he paused, choosing words carefully. Unfortunate timing. You expect me to believe her brakes failing was coincidence? I expect you to believe I had no reason to kill her. She was valuable. Marcus took a sip of wine. Catherine's daughters represent something important, proof that my family line continues, that Vincent's bloodline didn't die with him. Why would I destroy that? Dominic studied him, looking for deception and finding only cold calculation. What do you want, Marcus? The same thing you do. To know where the other daughter is. To understand why they were separated. To determine what threat or asset they represent. Marcus set down his glass. I know you found her. The twin. Your men have been moving resources, changing security protocols. You're protecting someone new. And if I am, then I propose a deal. Marcus leaned forward. Let me meet her. Let me verify she's Catherine's daughter. In exchange, I'll call off my investigation, stop the surveillance, and publicly acknowledge she's under Castellano protection. Why would you do that? Because open war over one woman is bad for business. And because Marcus's expression shifted, something almost human flickering beneath the cold exterior. Catherine was my aunt, my father's sister. He never forgave himself for not protecting her better, for letting Vincent drive her away. If her daughters survived, if they're living good lives, that's hey. Stopped, jaw tight. That matters. Dominic wanted to believe him. Wanted to think Marcus Moretti had some shred of decency, some family loyalty that transcended business. But 30 years of war had taught him that Morettis were never what they seemed. She's not meeting you, Dominic said flatly. Not until I'm convinced you won't hurt her. Then what? We stay in this stalemate? I keep searching. You keep hiding her. And eventually someone makes a mistake and people die? Marcus's voice hardened. I'm offering peace, Castellano. A truce. Let me verify her identity, and I'll leave both of you alone. Verify how? DNA test. Simple, non-invasive. She provides a sample. I compare it to Catherine's medical records. If she's really my cousin, we can discuss what that means. If she's not, he shrugged. Then you've wasted my time, and I'll look elsewhere. It was reasonable, too reasonable. Every instinct Dominic had screamed, trap. I'll discuss it with her, he said finally. But she decides. Not you, not me. If she wants to meet you, we'll arrange it. If not, you leave her alone. Fair enough. Marcus stood, buttoning his jacket. But Castellano, don't wait too long. There are others in my organization who aren't as patient as I am. Others who see Catherine's daughters as threats that need eliminating. I can only control them for so long. The warning hung in the air as Marcus left, his men falling into formation around him. Dominic sat alone, turning over the conversation, looking for the lie, the trap, the inevitable betrayal. His phone buzzed. A text from his head of security, subject M, left clean. No additional surveillance detected. Conversation was likely genuine. Likely. In Dominic's world, likely meant nothing. He paid the bill and headed home, mind racing through scenarios. If Marcus was telling the truth, meeting him could end the immediate threat. If he was lying, it would expose Sophia to danger. Both options had risks. But as Dominic rode the elevator to his penthouse, he realized the choice wasn't his to make. Isabella had written that letter to give Sophia choices. The least he could do was honor that. He found her in the living room, curled on the couch with a book, wearing yoga pants and one of Isabella's sweaters. She looked up as he entered, and his breath caught at the casual domesticity of the scene. For just a moment, it felt like coming home to his wife. Then Sophia spoke, and her voice lower, warmer than Isabella's, shattered the illusion. How did it go? Dominic sat across from her, maintaining distance. He wants to meet you. Verify you're Catherine's daughter through DNA testing. In exchange, he'll call off his investigation and acknowledge you're under my protection. Sophia set down her book. Do you believe him? I don't know. He seemed sincere, but Morettis are good liars. He ran a hand through his hair. He claims he didn't kill Isabella, that her death was coincidence. Says Catherine's daughters. Those are valuable to him, not threats. But you don't trust him. I don't trust anyone. The admission came easier than it should, but he made a point. The longer we wait, the more dangerous this becomes. Others in his organization might not be as, he searched for the word, diplomatic. Sophia was quiet for a long moment, processing. When she spoke, her voice was steady. I want to meet him. Absolutely not. It's not your decision. She stood, moving to the window. Isabella spent her whole life running from the Morettis. She died without ever knowing if they'd accept her or kill her. I don't want to live like that. You'd rather risk getting killed to satisfy curiosity? I'd rather face the threat than hide from it. She turned, and in the city lights, she looked fierce, brave, nothing like the frightened nurse from yesterday. If Marcus is telling the truth, meeting him could end this. If he's lying, at least we'll know. Either way, I'm tired of being afraid of shadows. Dominic saw Isabella in that moment, not in Sophia's face, but in her courage. The same stubborn bravery that had made his wife throw a brick at a shooter rather than run. The same fire that made her marry a crime boss despite knowing the risks. If we do this, it's on my terms. Public place, my security, first sign of trouble, and you're gone. Understood? Understood. Sophia moved closer. Thank you for letting me choose. Isabella would haunt me if I didn't. The attempt at humor fell flat. They stood facing each other, and Dominic felt the pull between them, attraction, connection, the dangerous intimacy of shared secrets. I'm not her, Sophia said quietly, reading his expression. I know I look like her, but I know. His hand lifted, cupping her face. This time he let himself touch, let himself feel the warmth of her skin, the slight difference in bone structure. You're fiercer, more direct, less haunted. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Being near you doesn't feel like losing her. It feels like finding something new. Sophia's breath hitched. Dominic, Papa? A small voice interrupted from the hallway. Little Isabella stood there in princess pajamas, rubbing her eyes. I had a bad dream. Dominic dropped his hand, stepping back from Sophia. Come here, baby. He scooped up his daughter, holding her against his chest. What did you dream about? Mama was leaving again. In a car. The little girl's voice trembled. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. Sophia moved closer, running a gentle hand over Isabella's hair. That sounds scary, sweetheart. Can you stay with me? Until I fall back asleep? Isabella reached for Sophia. You make the bad dreams go away. They ended up in Isabella's room again. the little girl nestled between them as Sophia read another story. Dominic watched them together, his daughter relaxing, Sophia's voice soft and soothing, and felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't replacement. This wasn't Isabella too. This was something different, unexpected. A woman who looked like his wife but wasn't, who made his daughter feel safe, who faced danger with courage instead of calculation. A woman he was starting to care about for who she was, not who she resembled. When Isabella finally fell asleep, they carefully extracted themselves, moving to the hallway. The penthouse was quiet, intimate in a way that made Dominic hyper-aware of every breath Sophia took. "She's getting attached to you," he said quietly. "I'm getting attached to her." Sophia's smile was sad. "Is that going to be a problem? When this is over and I leave? Are you planning to leave?" The question hung between them, loaded with possibility. Sophia looked at him, really looked, and he saw his own confusion reflected in her eyes. "I don't know what I'm planning anymore." She wrapped her arms around herself. 24 hours ago, I was a nurse with a simple life. Now I'm a Moretti hiding with Castellanos, reading, letters from dead sisters, and agreeing to meet crime bosses. Nothing about this makes sense. No, but you're still here. Because a 4-year-old needs me. Because my sister died protecting me. Because... She stopped, vulnerability flashing across her face. "Because you make me feel safe, even though you're probably the most dangerous person I've ever met." Dominic moved closer, drawn by honesty he hadn't heard since Isabella died. "I make you feel safe? You make me feel seen." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Like you're looking at me, not at her ghost. Like I matter for who I am, not whose face I wear." He was kissing her before he made the conscious decision to move. His hands framed her face, and her lips were soft, warm, different from Isabella's but perfect in their own way. She tasted like tea and courage, and when she kissed him back, it felt like beginning something rather than replacing something lost. They broke apart, both breathing hard, and Dominic rested his forehead against hers. "This is complicated. Everything about this is complicated." But Sophia's hands were fisted in his shirt, holding him close. "Does that mean we stop?" "I don't think I can stop." The admission cost him. "You've been here one day, and already you're tangled into everything, my daughter, my protection, my..." He stopped, not ready to name what was building between them. "Your what?" "My life." He pulled back, needing distance to think clearly. "But you deserve better than this. Better than a man haunted by his dead wife. Better than a world where meeting your relatives might get you killed. Maybe I don't want better. Maybe I want real." Sophia's eyes were fierce. "Isabella chose this world, chose you. I'm starting to understand why. She died because of those choices. She died protecting them. There's a difference." Sophia took his hand. "I'm going to meet Marcus. I'm going to face whatever comes. And when it's over, I'm going to decide what life I want to build. But Dominic, you're part of that decision. You and Isabella both." The promise settled into his bones, terrifying and exhilarating. He'd spent 3 days grieving a wife who'd lied to him. Now he stood facing a woman who offered truth, even when that truth was dangerous. "Tomorrow," he said. "We'll arrange the meeting with Marcus, but tonight," he squeezed her hand. "Tonight, let's just be people. Not Castellanos or Morettis or twins and ghosts. Just 2 people trying to survive something impossible." Sophia smiled, and it transformed her face into something radiant. Just 2 people. "I can do that." They sat on the couch, talking through the night, about the Chens and Sophia's childhood, about Dominic's rise to power, about Isabella's laugh and little Isabella's stubbornness, about dreams and fears and the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. And as dawn broke over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of gold and promise, Dominic Castellano realized something that should have terrified him but instead felt like hope. He was falling for his dead wife's twin sister. And somehow, impossibly, that felt like exactly what Isabella had wanted all along. 3 days later, Sophia walked into another neutral restaurant this time, with Dominic at her side and Marcus Moretti waiting at a corner table. The DNA results were already back, processed by an independent lab both families trusted. Catherine's daughter. Confirmed. Marcus stood when they approached, and Sophia saw the family resemblance immediately. The same sharp features she saw in old photographs of her birth mother, the same cold blue eyes. "Cousin," Marcus said, and the word carried weight. Acceptance. Warning. Acknowledgement. Cousin, Sophia echoed, and felt the world shift again. What followed was negotiation boundaries established, territories respected, little Isabella's heritage acknowledged but protected. The war between families wouldn't end overnight, but a truce was forged, built on blood, secured by power, maintained by mutual understanding that some things, some people were worth more than revenge. When they finally returned to the penthouse, Sophia found little Isabella waiting, arms outstretched, ready to be held, and Dominic watching them both with an expression that promised protection, partnership, and maybe, eventually, love. The phoenix had risen from ashes, the twin had found her family, the ghost had become real, and in a city built on secrets and blood, 3 people connected by impossible circumstances found something precious, a future worth fighting for. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.